Because bears use body language a lot. And like the subtle body language that, you know, Brooke was able to display and the way she held her ground, it's like you can't really even articulate it. It sounds ridiculous. Oh, you just stood there when the bear was there? Like, you idiots, you're going to get killed. But when you see all the subtle things that were happening that were just second nature that, you know, you don't even realize are happening until you're there. You're like, oh, yeah, no, it's cool. There's communication happening here that's nonverbal. And that is why we didn't have, you know, why we didn't get hit, why we didn't get charged, why we didn't have to shoot that bear. There were so many subtle things that were happening that were able to communicate what we were. And it's just dance that was going on. Yeah. And that's the trust part. Rango Tango,
all right.
Wants a mango.
Marco.
Hello.
Yo.
Now that's how we keep in touch.
Yo.
So I think we're back. Of course, when you guys are here, we have giant lightning storms and power outages right in the middle of the podcast.
Yeah.
You can name this storm fitting. After us.
Yeah. With the bears, and talking about like seeing their intent and stuff. So if you're hiking on a trail and you see a couple bears just walking down the trail at you.
There's a lot of answers.
Run.
Never. The worst possible thing you can do at all is run. Think about a dog. What do dogs do when you run? They chase you. Mm-hmm. Bears, same way. In all honesty to like anybody who's casually listening, if you just want to, you know, take the safest answer and not have to think a bunch of thoughts, get ready to bear spray it. Just stand your ground, don't run, get ready to spray. If you have a brain that's capable of holding more than one thought, then I'm really envious of you.
Brooke with the shade.
No, I admire you. As a person with a single brain cell, I like to just keep it as simple as possible, which is like, get ready to bear spray. Get ready to defend yourself in whatever means you have necessary on you. If you have more time to think and you can remember little, you know, reminders and stuff, think about what type of bear it is that you're seeing. So I'm in coastal Alaska. Yeah. Anyone who's listened to Cole Kramer's podcast, I'm sure you guys have heard him kind of break down the difference between inland lower 48 grizzly bears and the coastal grizzlies that we have in Alaska. Basically, these coastal bears that I work with are so well fed and live at such high density with other bears that they don't really feel all that bothered by the presence of humans. Bears think of people as just other bears. They think we're like really ugly and weird looking and stinky, but really the way that they're going to react to people is the same way they're going to react to other bears. So if you're in Alaska hiking down a trail and you're close to the coast and you encounter a bear, there's a good chance you can just stand your ground, make noise, get big, and the bear's going to go around. Here, in the lower 48, we have inland grizzlies, and they live at a much lower density. They have much less access to dense, abundant food sources, and they're going to be a little bit more hangry. They don't necessarily want to like charge you and eat you, but they want to get you the hell away from whatever food source they might be in that area trying to access.
So more territorial.
Yeah, I don't love the word territorial because that indicates that like bears have a territory, right? And like Laura Brown Bear guards this hillside and Heather Brown Bear guards that hillside. That's not really how they work. They're just kind of reactive. Like they see someone and they react very emotionally. So, you know, that draws back to like, it doesn't matter where you are, get ready to defend yourself. But if you are inland and it's a grizzly bear approaching you, be ready for a very scary situation. Don't run, don't climb a tree, stand your ground, get ready to defend yourself. If it's a black bear, you don't necessarily have to be as concerned. For the most part, black bears are going to be a little bit skittish. They're going to see you if you call out or make yourself noticeable, and they're going to run. I did recently learn that black bears actually don't cub defend. So there's this misconception that if there's a bear with cubs, it's the most dangerous bear on the environment.
Yeah, that's what I've always been told.
That is the case with grizzlies. If they have cubs, they have a little bit more reason to be that much more reactive in protecting their food sources and their young. There's been studies where researchers will actually go up and grab black bear cubs right in front of the mom, and the mom doesn't react.
Sounds like a Jackass episode.
Yeah, I know. Don't sign me up for that.
Hey, Johnny
ever.
Knoxville, you're going to run up and steal a bear cub from Mama Bear.
I'm not drawing the short straw on that.
See, I don't agree. I've worked in wildlife research the past few winters, and I don't know how people are getting that job and why they haven't asked me yet, but I want to go grab the bear cubs in front of their moms so badly.
She's a bear grabber,
crazy.
ladies and gentlemen.
Watch out. So with black bears, I mean, you don't really have to think twice whether it's a lone bear or a bear with cubs. Most likely, if you get big and loud, it's going to turn around. If it doesn't, again, it all draws back to just defend yourself. Don't run. Get ready to fight back.
Yeah.
Love that.
I can see, and I've heard of people having a little scarier encounters when they just completely surprise a black bear in super tight quarters.
Yeah, that's another big thing. I mean, if you're surprising a bear, truly get ready to fight back because that thing's going to be on you. There used to be this saying, if it's brown, lay down. If it's black, fight back. If it's white, good night. That's kind of getting thrown out the window recently. There's now 2 types of bears, and how you defend yourself in each situation is a little different. So there's the predatory bear, and there's the defensive bear. The predatory bear is the rare one that actually does want to eat you. This is a bear that has broken teeth. This is a bear that's been food conditioned. This is a bear that's, seeing some reason why you might look like an actual meal. Mm-hmm. Very rare. The defensive bear is the bear that you surprise as you're hiking through the brush. And that's a bear that's just being a bear, right? I mean, if I'm meandering through my hallway and someone pops out of my closet with a big backpack and hiking boots on, I'm going to snap out and kill them. Like, I'm just going to lose my shit. So that's their response in those situations. And those are truly the scariest encounters. And it's one of those things where, like, you can ask me a million times for all different nuanced advice, and it's always going to be the same thing. Just fight for your life.
Yeah.
In whatever means you have necessary.
And it is interesting because, like, when I was up in Canada last week bear hunting, and like stalking bears and stuff, they're honestly at times they're pretty dumb. They're grazing, they're sitting there grazing along, eating, grazing along and kind of eating, and now and then raise their head up and kind of look around. But like, it's interesting because, and I don't know what you found, but it almost seems like a bear. Our guide said, like, with these black bears, it's almost like they don't really have the ability to decipher well what you are. Because when you're in camo and I was within, 40, 50 yards of a couple of these different bears, and they'd look up at me, straight at me, and I'm standing there pretty much in the wide open, but not moving. Mm-hmm. They'd look at me, look around, and just go back to grazing. Now, if they catch movement, they're out of there, and they would be out of there in a hurry. And obviously, it seems like their number one defense is their nose. I mean, if they catch your scent, they're gone. Yeah,
their noses are insane. If our sense of smell compared to a dog's, like the dog's sense of smell is a piece of paper, and our sense of smell is a postage stamp, a bear's sense of smell is 100 pieces of paper.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the best nose in the world is the polar bear. Second best is the grizzly, and then the black bear.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, yeah, and smell is like really the only way that they're going to suss whether or not you're there. Their eyes are, we think, about as sharp as ours, but their cognitive ability to recognize what they're seeing, they're just kind of like, I think that's maybe another bear. I don't know. I don't smell anything. We're good to go.
And that's what our guide said, because he said a lot of people say bears have bad vision.
Yeah,
and he's like, if you're moving, they see you.
Yeah.
And they're out of there.
People think they're like blind or something. Like, oh, it was trying to smell me. It couldn't smell me. It didn't know what I was. And it was like, well, it's just, if you think about, I can smell things. I mean, not great, but we're visually dominant. So I use my eyes to figure out what's going on. And you go to that, you like defer to that sense. And I feel like bears are going to defer to smell because it's so superior.
Yeah. And he said he's had black bears spot them from several hundred yards. Wind was all right. Everything was good. And spot movement and just be gone.
Yeah.
But more than likely, even from several hundred yards, they scent just a tiny bit of smell in the air, and they're out of there.
Yeah,
they were smelling us. I mean, we could see them. Before they even saw us, we could see them like across the what is that, like the inlet?
Yeah,
like
it was like a salmon stream.
Yeah, like
inlet.
a little salmon stream, which moved out to the
ocean.
The ocean. They were like, I couldn't even tell you how far away.
Yeah,
and we could see them like stand up and like. Could see them like smell. And she was like, oh, they're smelling us right now.
Yeah, they like definitely humble me big time because they're always like, how do you smell? And I'm like, very bad.
Yeah.
Thanks for reminding me.
It was a cool experience though, because you just never know when you're with people how they're going to react in that situation. You can have like the most chill person who acts really knowledgeable, and they get in that situation and they just like lose their shit and react completely terribly. And so it was cool like meeting Brooke. I'm like, I know that Heather's going to stand there and be like, I hate this, but I didn't. I mean, yeah, sure, she's a bear guy, but there's plenty of people that say they're really knowledgeable or experienced or they're going to be cool, and then they get in that situation, you just don't know.
Yeah.
So it was awesome to be like, oh, okay, cool, like I can see this girl can handle herself, because I've had my own way of dealing with bears, but I'm not like a trained bear guide or anything.
Yeah.
And for me to defer to someone else was kind of terrifying. But then getting to watch someone else and being like, oh my God, I trust her. Yeah. It's like a cool experience to have with people.
That's ultimately like what brought us here on this trip. Like Heather and I had met before in like casual, camping trips or just, casual
we never had one-on-one time.
Never. It was always like a group social setting.
Yeah, we'd go camping in a group of 20.
With a lot of alcohol. And Laura and I had truly never met. And so, I mean, everything, like we worked so well as a team that when this trip came up, I was like, yeah, no brainer. I'll go follow Laura anywhere.
Yeah. And you can because there was so much more. I mean, it's one thing to tell the story and try to articulate all the little things, but it was, because bears use body language a lot. And like the subtle body language that, Brooke was able to display and the way she held her ground, it's like you can't really even articulate it. It sounds ridiculous. Oh, you just stood there when the bear was there? Like, you idiots, you're going to get killed. But when you see all the subtle things that were happening that were just second nature that, you don't even realize are happening until you're there. You're like, oh yeah, no, it's cool. There's communication happening here that's nonverbal. And that is why we didn't have, why we didn't get hit, why we didn't get charged, why we didn't have to shoot that bear. There were so many subtle things that were happening that were able to communicate what we were. And it's just dance that was going on. Yeah. And actually, that's the trust part.
I have a former co-guide that's back in that area. And he texted me a couple days ago and told me that he saw those same set of twins. So we succeeded in the mission of turning the bears around, but not instilling this horrific fear of that area and the humans that they might encounter on that stream. So
it was really interesting to watch you though, because when you were like, make yourself small, they'll come in closer, make yourself big. It was a dance. Like everything that you were telling us to do, we were moving them.
You were getting a reaction from them.
She was like, okay, you want them closer? We're going to shrink down. You want them farther away? We're going to make ourselves big. And everything that we did, it was like this weird dance.
Yeah, I'm a fucking sweet dancer.
Yeah.
Bear
you and
dancer.
your bears. You're the bear whisperer.
So I know you say you do the guiding thing, but what I've, when I met you and what I saw and see on your Instagram and whatnot is your photography.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people, I don't know how you split up your business and how all that works, but when I first met you and somebody was, it might have been Lucas with GRIZZLY Forge there at Black Rifle. And Lucas was like, oh no, she's a badass. She like lives out in the woods with these animals and follows them around. And so I went to your Instagram and your photos are, they're the best I've ever seen. Like on from a wildlife like photography standpoint, it's absolutely incredible. What is it? Little Bear? What's your Instagram?
Yeah, it's just Brooke Little Bear. Brooke with an
Little
E.
Bear.
Little Bear.
It's insane the photos that you get, and Lucas was telling me how much you like live out in the woods with the bears, and tell me about some of the like spending your time in Yellowstone Park.
Yeah. I'm obsessed with animals. Wildlife photography. I'm a wildlife photographer first. I started doing the bear guiding stuff because I'm just addicted to being around bears, and I was spending a lot of money hiring guides and flight services to get me where they are. And I was like, man, I could just do this all the time. And I like, having other photographers and giving them the opportunity to photograph the same things that I'm so lucky to encounter all the time. So I started out in the lower 48. I lived in Colorado. I volunteered with the Yellowstone Bear Management Team, again, just as an excuse to get close to bears. And yeah, I do live nomadically, kind of cycling between different wildlife behaviors and charismatic seasons and times of year that I can optimize the photo. So in the fall, I try to be in the lower 48 for the elk and the moose rut, kind of starting with the elk in Colorado is where I specialize in bull elk rutting. I have a few spots that are still somewhat well-kept secrets. And I photograph like the bulls rutting and doing all their mating displays. And then later in the year, as it turns to kind of early winter, I go up into Wyoming and Montana to photograph bull moose. Then in the wintertime, I focus on just tracking animals and like sussing out what animals are going where, looking for dens that might be active in the springtime. In the spring, I focus on those denned up animals like foxes and their babies were a focus for me this spring. And then
the best photos I've ever seen.
You could sleep in our basement. There's a little group of little den of baby foxes right now on our road.
I was going to ask you if you have fox kits here because I saw a fox kit scat in your driveway.
Oh, really?
By where we parked, yeah.
You sure it wasn't docs?
No.
So, yeah, no, there's baby foxes right down the road. I mean, Jess has a couple of videos in the last week. They're not a hell of a lot bigger than a damn beer can or a water bottle.
Yeah, they're really little right now.
Adorable.
Oh, so cute.
They're the cutest damn little things.
They act like puppies. I love them.
They were probably after them chickens.
Smart foxies.
So with your time, like in Yellowstone, are you camping out there with them? Like how long at a time are you staying out in the woods?
Yeah, I mean, so I live in the woods pretty much full time. I do have a camper that I live in. I'm kind of like a poor version of van life. I have a 30-year-old RV that I bought a couple of years ago that I live out of. That's like my home base on wheels. So wherever I'm shooting, whether it's Colorado or Yellowstone or Wyoming, Montana, or even Alaska, I drive the RV to the location, and then ideally I can center out of that and do like 3 to 4 days in the field, nothing significantly longer than that at a time, because I do need to recharge batteries, refresh memory cards, back up all my photos. But I've been in the field for elk and moose for up to a month and a half.
Really?
Yeah, for the opportunity to get good shots.
Really?
The ungulates take a little bit longer.
We love ungulates.
It's funny because there's so many like badass hunters that are out there talking about like how to survive for 3 days on a hunt, and you're out there for a long period of time.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Like it's a very solitary lifestyle too. I mean,
oh yeah, you guys are my only friends. You too.
I was like, oh God.
I'm genuinely not kidding. I am so fucking lonely.
I love you so much. I love you. And you smell like dirt.
this just turned into a counseling session.
I think that's why we all get
my
along so
allergies,
much.
guys.
We're also very weird.
We have so much in common.
We're so weird.
So I'm going to transition to being weird and living out in the woods.
We're not like other girls.
Why'd you look
We're
at
so
me?
much worse.
So I got to hear about Laura's living situation.
Oh, it's amazing.
Wow.
It's dreamy.
I live in a
I'm
cave.
putting you on the spot.
We spent a lot of time in a cave.
So
Actually,
you were
together.
living in a house just
I was living
recently
in a
with a
house.
friend of ours.
Yes, and then I moved to an undisclosed location where I live in a cave now.
It's
She really does. We sat in there eating easy cheese.
We ate easy
So it's
cheese.
an actual cave. Is this a
Yeah.
rock cave like in the side of a
Well,
hill?
it's a deep, dark cave, but it's dry. It's not wet.
It
which
has
is
a
nice.
view
Yeah.
too.
It has a great
It's
view.
nice.
Cave with a view.
Yeah, that's what sold me.
There's a cooler in
Yeah.
it, and the cooler has canned meat.
Oh yeah, I have
So
like all
great.
my canned meat in the cave, which is great.
How big is this cave? How spacious?
Small.
It's small.
It's a little claustrophobic.
It's small, but it's long.
a little claustrophobic. Especially
Did you guys sleep in it?
Well, I
got a
actually
tent?
set up a whole
She had
wall
a tent
tent so
too?
that we would
Yeah.
have like room because
Yeah.
you know.
My ass ain't sleeping in a tent at 1 a.m. when we've been talking about Tommy knockers and shit.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, you mean in
Define-
a cave? You slept in the tent, not the cave.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she was not as into the cave, but I love the cave.
I'm not as into. Yeah, I'm sorry. These two bitches love sleeping outside. They're like, oh, I'm gonna put my sleeping pad out here. All the grizzly bears can come smell me. And I'm like, dude, I just need like. I know it may be some false sense of security. It might be a little placebo.
What's safer than a cave?
Because if I have one barrier between me
Some
and something
canvas,
else, I
just a
have
little
time to grab
canvas.
my gun and start blasting.
Yeah, I mean, you just got one door in a cave. Right?
And then you're backed in, and then you're trapped. What happens if you get trapped?
You don't get trapped.
Well,
I feel like people.
I like
listening-
having an exit. I like having an entrance and an exit strategy.
Henry wants to know if we can come see the cave. Dude,
Yeah.
like a MTV Cribs cave
Oh,
style.
yes.
So your cave's a
Yeah.
little off the grid. It's not
a little off the
close.
grid,
It's not
for
close to
sure.
town.
No.
Oh, it's in bumfuck.
It is.
Nowhere. Absolute nowhere.
Yeah,
Fucking off the
They
grid.
were like, "Oh yeah, well, let's go get dinner." I'm like, "You guys know we're gonna be getting to the cave at midnight, right?"
It's off the fucking grid.
It's
Yeah.
like fucking 45 minutes to even a blip of self-service.
Yeah, I love that. I
know
that.
you love that.
So good.
I know you love that.
Oh my gosh.
Gosh.
You're crazy. I love it. And what's awesome is then you're dating Brian, right?
Uh-huh.
So Brian, it's interesting because like Brian to me is like so clean.
Are you calling me dirty?
Like-
Wow.
Is that the nicest way I've ever been called dirty before?
But Brian's like I see Brian like doing all his speaking stuff and all his stuff, and then I see him like coming out here to spend time with you, and it just seems like such a different life. It's like got to be interesting for him coming out here and like spending time with you versus like
Yeah,
the stuff he's doing. But it's
I'm sure.
but he loves it. It's like every time I talk to him, he's just like I like he looks forward to coming out here and spending time and doing everything that you guys are doing. It's like it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
He's such a good dude.
He's a great dude. He is a great dude.
I mean, realistically, if you don't love doing this stuff, I think you're crazy. The stuff Laura does is the best things on earth.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right, Heather?
Yeah, I mean, I don't agree that it's amazing. I wouldn't consider us sane, though, also.
Well, but when you see the photos of like, when you see the photos of Laura packing out all those antlers out of the woods and her legs are all tore up and all that shit, like you don't just find that stuff all laying in a pile somewhere and bring it out. Like the amount of miles that are on that pack and the amount of weight.
Dude, and her eyeballs are off the chart. This girl sees things that like are in other dimensions. And she's like, it's right there. How did you not see it? And we're like, oh.
Whatever. Heather too. Heather was picking up like the tiniest little things. She's like, guys, what are all these caterpillars? We're like,
Heather's finding like the skulls of ants that died 40 years ago.
I didn't find an
ant.
I found a I found pica jaw
exoskeleton.
She found pica jaws while she's like huffing and puffing up. They're
like a
lagomorph.
Here, I'll show you a little tiny little. I don't know how I saw it. They're finding elk sheds. They're finding all sorts of stuff. And I'm like, hey guys,
we're finding the ungulates. She's
look at this microscopic.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah. I found that, and then I did find a couple of deadheads. It's I believe it's either pica or like a ground.
Oh, the Colombian ground squirrel.
A Colombian ground squirrel.
Pica are like the cute little fuzzballs that scream in the mountains. They're like,
they're little.
Really?
Yeah.
Guys.
They're in the rabbit
family.
So
tiny. They're so tiny. They're probably gonna break on my way home.
She sniped those. Like she's like going up this really steep. We're on a ridge that was like I felt like 90-degree angles on either side. And all of a sudden she's like, what are those? And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Clinging
at
on to
all.
life. What's happening?
Well, that's why I see them. I'm clinging to the dirt like this, crawling upwards, and it's right here.
Yeah, but then 10 minutes later, we're climbing back down the mountain, and she goes, gosh, what are all these little caterpillars everywhere? And Laura and I are like, what? We can't see.
Yeah, it's amazing. So your eyes are pretty great.
Well, I think also my eyes are like, it's so weird too, like how I train, like how you have to train your brain to pick up on different things. Because I'm always used to look for stark white, look for this. And then, that's why I'll walk right by a chocolatey, elk shed, or why morel mushrooms are so hard for my eye to pick up is because I'm looking for white.
Yeah, we just gotta that's why we were just like hiding morels we already picked around Heather to try to like train her eye.
They're like, oh, there's some over here, and I pick it up. I'm like, you bitches. They're like, oh, we just wanted you to feel included.
Like when you're out picking stuff with your kids and you're like, well, we're gonna hide.
It was like, like when you're hiding Easter eggs for your fucking.
But no, that's the thing.
For your children, and you're like,
that's how I teach people to find antlers.
Here's your consolation prize.
I like make them. I used to do that myself. I would like spin in a circle and chuck an antler with my eyes closed, and then I'd have to open my eyes and see how quickly I could see where it was. Because you just train your eyeball. Otherwise, you're like spackling over it because you get so much input. Never done that. You should do that. Okay.
Antler training, Antler 101.
Yeah. Heather's going to be at the ranch just throwing mushrooms from the grocery store.
I'll have some portobellos just chucking them.
So with all your time in the woods, what is, Brooke, what is your like most memorable experience or like the coolest thing you've ever seen? Because, I mean, with all that time spent out in the woods with nature, all the cool animals, and you're really getting to watch animals like just in their behavior. Even as a hunter, we get to see a lot of really cool things, but a lot of times some of the coolest stuff we see, we end up like shooting it before we get to
Well, she's shooting it too, just in a different way.
Yeah. She's shooting with a
camera. But I mean, you're watching it for, days on end, and you're seeing animals interact with each other.
Yeah, I took a nap with a bull elk. It was magic. So this was one of my longer stints. I think it was like 3 weeks in northern Colorado during the rut with these bull elk. And there was a younger guy that I just loved, a guy meaning an elk. And
obviously,
love that you had to clarify.
I am so fucking lonely. He was beautiful. He was not really a satellite bull. When I came across him, he was showing behavior of being a satellite bull. And then I followed.
What's a satellite bull?
Satellite bull is during the rut, the big dominant bull elk with like the big fancy racks, have like their harem, all their women.
Oh, okay.
Females. Cows is the word I was looking for.
I've never hunted.
And elk, all the like less dominant, but still, sexually mature bull elk will kind of satellite around and try to steal away cows for their own harem.
Gotcha. It's like all the 19-year-old boys that are hanging around, but there's like the 35-year-old guy that's like.
You mean 85-year-old man?
What's up, Doc?
Wow. Yeah. Oh God. That's
So-
a
Whole other story.
That's-
Never mind.
Never mind that.
So he ended up, I was following like the larger bull, like all the women were that day. And I ended up eventually crossing paths with this younger, still really dynamic, impressive bull elk again. And I followed him for like 2 or 3 days because he was chill. I don't know if he was like the type of bull that spends most of the winter in a neighborhood and gets just like really habituated to humans being around. But
Yeah.
God, it was like I wasn't there at all. So I would follow him and then like kind of camp wherever he was bedding down with his girlfriends. And one night I had a bottle of tin cup whiskey with me and it was like starting to feel really heavy on my back. So I was like, well, I guess I got to drink it. And I felt like shit the next day. I was so hungover. I like threw up. I could barely move. And like, I felt like I had an allergy attack, like I was getting the flu or something. I was just in rough shape, but the light was fantastic. All this wildfire smoke had blown in and kind of filled this valley. And I knew that was going to be a day I was going to get the photos I was looking for. Before that, it had been really harsh, direct, bright sunlight, which just doesn't yield the most magical, dreamy images. And I photographed him in the morning. It was cool. I got some great shots. And then around noon, he bedded down. And I actually got these photos of him as he laid down. And the photos are on my Instagram. They're like one of my absolute favorite shots I've ever gotten. And he like throws his head back and bugles, and he's really symmetrical. And there's all this green moss. But after that, do you know the shot?
I know exactly the shot.
I'm obsessed with it.
I want that print.
He's such a good boy. And then he fell asleep. And I was at that point maybe like 15 yards from him. I mean, I was close. I think I took that photo on a 40 millimeter lens or an 80 millimeter maybe. And I was like, well, I'm hungover. He's sleeping. I'm going to go to sleep. And I fell asleep next to him for like 3 hours. And I like woke up to the sound of him farting. And I couldn't fall back asleep because he was snoring.
You're sure it wasn't you?
And that was like the closest thing I'd ever experienced to having a boyfriend at the time. Yeah, and it was just magical. Then he woke up and like continued on his way, and I followed him for the rest of the day. And then I ended up finding like different elk and going with a different group after that. But it was just, I feel like a lot of people don't have the opportunity to do that, like sleep beside any ungulate, but like especially one in the peak of the rut and one that you've had the glory of like photographing and getting like a really intimate, charismatic moment with. So there's been like a lot of other really cool experiences, but that was by far the coolest for me.
It's interesting with what you're doing there with some animals, it feels like you can kind of live with them and they'll tolerate you, like bears. But then like with elk in general, if they see you, they're out of there.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah. So to be able to stay with a herd, and a lot of times, like, especially around here and maybe certain areas like Yellowstone, maybe not quite so much because they do see so many people, but around here, if you spook some elk, like they're going to run for a mile over a couple, ridges and into a north face timber. And, you're going to spend the next 2 or 3 days trying to find them.
Which was why I was out for so long during that time period, because that was happening over and over
just
again.
Keep spooking them. With all the shed hunting, all the time you've spent in quote unquote Montana, the woods of Montana, like when you've been out in the woods, because you've done a lot of other really cool stuff, like besides just the shed hunting stuff, but all the time you spent out, what's the coolest thing you've ever seen?
You're making me pick one. Oh man, I don't know. One time I accidentally walked into a herd of elk in the pitch black, and it just, the soundscape changed and things were really weird. I didn't know what was going on. And all of a sudden all the elk just started running, and they were just running around me like I was like a stone in a river.
Yeah.
And the sound of the ground. And it was like, I think one of the coolest things is that my eyes were involved. It was like a full body experience, but my eyes weren't there. It was just like the feeling of it, like the smell of them and like the wind as they rushed past and the ground shaking under me and not knowing and the excitement and the adrenaline rush and then actually living through it. It was just wild. It was like the perfect storm of all these things happening. And it's just kind of stuff like that you can't plan. I would have never put myself in that situation, but it happened. And it was like made you feel so alive. And I love that.
It is amazing how, when you think about it, how much we've as humans become dependent on like a flashlight or a headlamp or something like that. Cause like that story reminds me of, in high school, there was a ranch that we couldn't hunt. It's owned by rich people and there's like elk all over it. It's basically like Yellowstone. And so a couple of buddies of mine and I, when the moon was pretty full, we would go out in the middle of the night and sneak onto their ranch, and we weren't hunting it. We would just bugle the elk.
Yeah.
And just play with them. And it's like at night, and I don't know if you found this when you're out with the animals, but it's like at night that it's almost like they know that humans aren't out hunting, and it's like a different mindset for the animals, and their guard is down more. It seems like they're interacting with each other and breeding and doing all the stuff that they're doing with no like fear of repercussions from humans and involvement from the human side, where as soon as the sun comes up, like they know the game's on.
Yeah.
And it was weird at night being out there, but also, like you say, our eyes were like somewhat involved because there was some moonlight, but like in super close quarters, and we'd have elk coming in screaming at us, and like all kinds of elk running by you in the middle of the night, and felt like we were going to get run over. But it was a lot more, your senses are a lot more involved because you can't count on your eyes.
Mm-hmm. There's so few instances where, I mean, especially now that we all have cell phones, you just turn on your cell phone light. It's like there's so few instances where you can just not have that available, and there's like a vulnerability there that's like makes you feel alive.
Do you do a lot of your photography stuff, like full moon type night stuff? Have you done a lot of night stuff?
It's hard with wildlife because I'm using a telephoto lens.
Yeah.
And usually, like, you know, even if the animal is stationary enough to do a long exposure where some of their body is going to be in focus, they're still breathing. Their breath and stuff is still going to make the image blurry. I do a lot of finding my subjects by full moonlight or sound or headlamp, and then just be in position in time for sunrise to come up and get them.
Interesting.
You can actually see them.
And then do you take a lot of the time, that harsh light during the middle of the day, that's kind of time to like rest and relax and kind of...
Yeah, that's when I sleep off my hangovers. I hate shooting in the harsh mid-daylight. That's like the time for me to rest and relax. And sometimes also like scout out my evening shoot, like be like, okay, the elk have moved that way. Maybe I should get in position on the other side of them. Or, you know, it looks like I see bear tracks going in that direction. Let me go get in position just in case something happens in the evening.
So you've mentioned a couple times, so dating.
Yeah.
Having a dating life with your lifestyle, what are the challenges there? Like
all of it. I do have a boyfriend now.
You do?
Yeah, he's a saint. His name's Grant, and the nice thing about it is he's a lot like me. We joke that we work for the same company but in different offices.
Yeah.
I'm the wildlife photographer who's always out doing isolated stuff for animals. Grant is a mountaineering, glacier, and like whitewater rafting, rock climbing, very technical outdoor guide. So his social interactions are with clients, but he also has to live very remotely, depend a lot on the outdoors for companionship.
Yeah.
So our two lonely hearts met on the shores of Juneau, Alaska.
Oh,
and
really?
Yeah, we've been together but separate ever since. So we don't get to see each other very often in person.
I love that.
Yeah, it's an ideal relationship because every time we do get to see each other, we have so much to talk about.
Yeah,
we are very rarely in each other's company.
Right. Yeah, that would be it'd be interesting because like there's that side of it. It's like ideally maybe you could find somebody that shares your same interests and you'd want to be with all the time doing that. And that would also be like the absolute worst thing ever, to have somebody with you all the time.
Bro, I'm so competitive. If I was dating another wildlife photographer, I would smash all their gear in the night. Like, God forbid they get the shot and not me. That's been a huge barrier, is like, not only am I very isolated, but I'm very competitive. So if someone's doing the exact same thing as me, it's going to be a huge problem.
Do you run into other photographers out there? And
God, I hate them so much. Yeah, I see them all the time.
You slash their tires.
Smash their gear. Put eye drops in their water.
Oh wow, that's you're a bitch. You're a huge bitch. The brown bear is now not Heather bitch anymore. It's fucking Brooke bitch bear.
Brooke little bear.
Brooke little bear. Huge bitch little bear Brooke. That's
Brooke huge bitch.
Wow, that's the worst.
So with your photography, what's the like with making money from it, right? So like my daughter, and you hear a lot of people a lot of times say like, I want to be a photographer. Mm-hmm. My daughter's trying to kind of figure out what to do in life right now. She's 18, just out of school. And like, you hear people say like, I want to be a photographer. And, my business partner is an amazing photographer. And the one thing that with him, it doesn't matter if it's like work related stuff or if he's just out with his kids doing whatever, like that guy is always shooting photos. Like he clearly loves to shoot photos.
Yeah.
He's constantly taking photos. And it's interesting because there's so many people out there now with an iPhone or with a camera they bought from Costco or whatever, and it's so easy for everyone to have an Instagram page and all that. how have you found it as far as like moving your photography, selling it? Like, are you generally selling most of your stuff directly through your Instagram, or are you selling to galleries?
Yeah, so all of the above. I think this is something you can probably relate a lot to, Josh, with like your industry. So there's plenty of knife makers, right? And it's been done before, but ain't nobody doing it the way you are. And that's ultimately where your success is coming from. Mm-hmm. I think people, when they get into passion fields, you know, like knife making or wildlife photography or any genre of photography or any form of crafting or art, they kind of look at the people who've quote unquote made it and they say, how can I emulate what that individual's doing? And that's fine for inspiration purposes when you're just starting out. But ultimately, it's already been done, right? Unless you're doing it better, that's not your chance of finding success. So my success has come from just completely defining my own path every step of the way. And social media has been a huge, huge, huge help in all of that. It gave me the opportunity to kind of make something out of nothing. I was just some like random kid from New Jersey with a secondhand camera that I got as a graduation gift. I was trying to impress boys, so I went out with my camera to take photos and be good at something, anything.
Just eating moths and taking photos.
Oh, God.
I also one time ate a moth to impress a boy. He was not impressed. We never dated. I'm so sorry, Tom.
That's a hell of a move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so.
Heather, what have you eaten to impress a boy?
I bit the head off of a live fish once. I'm not super proud of it, but I did do that. They're like, you won't do it, pussy. And I was like, fucking call me that one more time. She's like, I'll do anything for money. I'm like, I'll do anything to not be a bitch. That's half the reason why I love suffering.
That's why you're here.
I just gotta fucking prove that I can.
But yeah, just like picking your own path, being super passionate. I love what you said about like, you know, folks who are professional photographers and they bring their camera everywhere. Even I don't personally bring my camera everywhere. I almost never take my camera out, but I'm always thinking about my subjects. You know, I don't go for a walk in the woods because I'm just trying to get some fresh air. I'm walking in the woods and I'm like, oh, I see an elk track over here. What direction is he going? Mm-hmm. What plants are around? What time of day is it? How can this yield a really great photo opportunity? So yeah, I guess just like it's a combo, right? Of like figuring out what you want to do, being passionate about it, figuring out how you can put your own tone or like color on whatever the thing is. And then just every time you achieve something, like ask yourself, that was cool. I did it. How can I do it better next time?
The being passionate thing, so to me, that's the key. Because I've told my kids, like, you have to at some point in life, and I don't think you can force it. Like, it just has to happen. But you have to find something that you're passionate about. Because once you have the passion, then the work won't seem as much like work. It's still going to be work. Mm-hmm. But, you know, like Brandon's photography, he's not a wildlife photographer. He'll take some photos of animals if they're there. It's, you know, he'll shoot people, he'll shoot a car or a truck or like an old broken down, you know, swather in a field. Like, it doesn't matter what it is, he'll shoot. But like using his camera and catching that shot is his passion. And it's interesting because I think anybody that's really, really successful at something, I mean, even like with like Laura, with what you're doing, like your passion for what you do comes through, you know, and it's, to me, that's the thing to try to find in life is your passion. Like with the knife stuff, there's so many different types of knives. Like we talk about our friend like Lucas with Grizzly Forge, and then there's Dan Winkler that's known a lot through like Jack Carr's books with Winkler knives, and there's thousands of other knife makers out there. And you're right, in the beginning, you emulate stuff that you see. You pick up a magazine, you try to make a knife like that guy's, you try to make a knife like that one, and then you start to like find your path and figure out what you like, and then pretty soon you're making something that you want to make. And you know, that's to me where the passion finally comes in, and then you just start finding your own niche. You
Totally.
know?
And I think like for anyone listening who's like, oh shit, I don't have a passion, that's fine. Like I grew up in New Jersey. I didn't know what animals were. My dad's a homicide detective, and I think he did some crime scene photography for a little bit, and that was like my only experience around cameras. And it was truly, I mean, I lived in an area where like everybody was really good at skiing and snowboarding. I wasn't doing so great at that stuff, so I was like, man, what can I be good at? And I just tried everything, and somehow it's not even the camera, the photography itself that I'm passionate about. It's the animals, and the photography gives me an opportunity and an excuse to spend all that time around them. But like, if you don't have your passion right now, just keep on trying. You'll figure it out. It's
that's
there.
the thing with kids. I think I can see the pressure on my daughter. You know, like at 18, you're supposed to, like, are you supposed to go to college? Are you supposed to, you know, I don't want her to just go get an average job downtown and just settle into like living in the basement and having a job, right? Or whatever. Like, you know, it's interesting because like you want kids to, I raise my kids to finish stuff. Like if you start something, you finish it, you don't quit. But then I tell them, hey, if you're 18, you have a job you don't like, quit that shit and go find something else to do. Because like I think a lot of experiences, you don't know it might just be a connection of somebody you work with. It's like, hey, my dad has this business doing whatever. Yeah. And the next thing you know, like, I don't know, like what was your experience like, Heather? Is like, what was your path like to get where you are now?
Because where are you now?
So I mean, I was doing the same at age 18. I was homeless, living out of my car, working 3 dead-end jobs just to be able to eat and pay my cell phone bill. But you know, I ended up going to college. I was going for my master's in botany, and ended up doing reality TV. Ended up making friends, moving from here and there, and obviously ended up at Black Rifle through my friends. Yeah, you know, I grew up in theater classes doing stuff like that, and acting is ultimately like you've got bears and survivalist stuff, but like acting and comedy, that's always been my passion.
Were you that way even in like junior high school? Did you love acting? And
yeah, I always did. I always went by, not to get all dark or whatever. but,
says the goth kid.
Yeah, says the goth kid. But like I've been so severely depressed my whole life. I feel like I've been so desperate to make other people laugh because I don't want them to feel as bad as I do.
You're so fucking good at it.
I'm so self-deprecating. No, I've just always loved acting. I felt like I could remove myself from who I am and put myself into a character, and I feel like I'm good at doing that. And it's always been a passion of mine, is like just like being different characters and being different people.
Is it the laugh that you're?
Yeah, that's my drug.
Is it?
It's like getting people to laugh for sure, or like just making sure like people don't feel as like shitty. Because I remember being in like the throes of my deepest, darkest days, and I remember throwing on random like comedy specials and like just having that laugh forced from me, where I'm like, man, I thought I was at the end of it, and now I'm laughing, and damn it. All right, I gotta keep going, I guess. No, but I love that, and you know, that's always been in my path, has been acting and comedy and trying to make people laugh. And I met JT from Black Rifle Coffee. Before it was Black Rifle Coffee, this was in like 2009. We're just making dumb, fun comedy videos, and then from there, you know, he met Matt Best, and he linked up with Evan Hafer. They were flying me back and forth to Salt Lake City to do like funny, weird comedy videos. And then from there, when Black Rifle became like an actual company, they were like, well, we can afford to hire employees now. So like, you'll just be like an employee. Like, so I moved to Salt Lake City from Florida. And then from there, I moved with the marketing department to San Antonio, Texas. Because I always wanted to be involved in like that kind of comedy, like the really dark, unhinged, like veteran humor. Yeah. Like I'm just an army brat, but like I totally get like the really dark PTSD side of things. So like we all bonded over.
So you were
trauma bond.
You were in the military?
No, my dad was army. Oh, okay. So yeah,
army
I was just a brat. Yeah.
Did you move a ton as a kid then with that?
Not too much. No. So my dad is my stepdad. So
okay.
But yeah, by the time we had settled into Kentucky there, I moved with him to Florida when he retired. And from there, that's where I met like weird domino effect of meeting people.
That is the thing about, I mean, it's like, I don't even remember like where or how like you and I exactly met, but it is interesting with the Black Rifle thing and with this whole industry, because I guess we're more in the outdoor space, and that's probably really how we met through all that stuff. Yeah. But it's interesting how it's just like this chain of people. Yeah, it just like snakes along, and it's almost like when you watch like water start to pool up, and then it starts to like find its way like across the driveway and around rocks and this way. And pretty soon it's like way over here. Yeah. You know, it's like, I think that's a lot of times how life is. Like, you know, I tell people all the time that what was the big break for me, but we didn't really know it like going out there at all, but it was just a connection. Like when I met Neil Kamamura over the phone, and Neil was more like talking to me about knife stuff and whatnot. And then he invited me to Winter Strong out to Bert Soren's and, you know, invited me to come out and like forge with him and kind of demonstrate. And so I had no idea what I was getting into, but then you meet all those people there. Yeah. And then, you know, like once you hang around a group of people like that, you're like, I came home feeling like I'd found my people.
Right.
And it's interesting how like in a small town, a small area, like you can live and be doing something. And that's why I encourage my kids so much to travel or to try to like take new opportunities, or don't be afraid to take a job, work at it for a little while and quit if it's not the thing. But like, you don't know where that thing's going to be.
For sure.
But that's the coolest thing that you've done is that, and like, I loved it when you first told me what you were doing. It was really cool because all I could think of was like, man, what a great thing to do for his kids. Because it's scary, right? You have this great job, you're comfortable, but you had this potential, and going out on a limb, I mean, yeah, it's crazy, but I always just think about that. Like, it's so cool for your kids to see that you had this passion and this talent that was just, it wasn't being expressed to its full potential. And you went out on that limb and you took that risk and you followed your passion. Everything fell into place, because how could it not?
And I think all four of us really, it's interesting because like none of us have a regular, real, normal job. Like, and I imagine all of us at times have thought about, and there for a while I went and took that like quote unquote real job at the power company and did it because like, you know, that was the way I knew I had to pay my bills to go through my divorce and like save my house. And like, you have to take that corporate job. And I'm sure there were times you probably all either had that job or thought about like, maybe I should just go get a real job.
It's
like
soul sucking.
Yeah.
But it also can get you to the next place. Like, the timing for you was so perfect.
Yeah.
And it got you to that place where like you had all the right things and it was just this stepping stone. I think the mistake is when people just stay in that. They're like, well, it's comfortable enough, I'm not going to leave.
No, that's why I always talk about suffering. Like, you can't compare, like, even if it's good, you don't know it's good unless you've suffered, unless you have something to compare it to.
And I think you nailed it with like getting to where you want to be. I had the corporate job. I really wanted to live in the mountains in Colorado because I knew there were a lot of animals there, and I couldn't afford to. So I got a corporate 9-to-5 job that paid the bills. It gave me employee housing. It gave me an opportunity and a reason to like be in the mountains. And I was late to work every single day because I found a fox den around the corner. And I held out that job for as long as they would keep me. I think it was like 4.5 years that I worked at that desk, just because it put me in the physical place where I needed to be. And I think sometimes people are like, oh no, I'm selling out by continuing to hold the corporate job, blah, blah, blah. Whatever it takes to get there, like fucking do it.
As long as you don't lose sight of what you're, what you really want.
Yeah.
And that's the other part of it. Like, I think sometimes young people do miss the point too of like, sometimes when you're 20 years old, you also just have to suck it the hell up and get a job and pay some bills. And then, but do it in a way maybe that you can set your, like, I'm going to use this job for an end game, and it's going to be to get a car that then is going to be able to take me to this town and do this.
Exactly.
For sure.
You know, or some camera gear. Like, I have to work this job for a while to be able to afford a camera.
Or you learn how to like make an Excel spreadsheet so that when you start your own business, you can actually keep track of your finances. Like, do what you got to do, take what you can from it, but don't ever lose sight of the goal, just like Laura said.
I think the other thing is like sometimes the job that you want doesn't exist and you have to create it, right? Like, I feel like we've all kind of, it's not like we looked through the list of available jobs and picked the one. I know when I was a kid, like being a survivalist, a backcountry expert, that wasn't a thing. And I mean, gosh, like I work like with Carbon TV and I have a show with Carbon TV. Carbon TV wasn't a thing when I didn't know. I thought none of these things existed. And then they happened as time went on. But all the steps and all the things I did was following my passion, and then everything else fell into place, and I found the things I needed to find at the right times. And that sounds like the most hippie thing ever. Like, the stars will align. But like, man, I tell you what, like, there's a way to do it if you just keep following your passion. And especially now, there's just so many opportunities with the world the way it is. Like, if you just follow what you're really passionate about and figure out a way to, eat.
I will say it's the hardest path though. You and I have had talks about finances, and we've had talks about, the next moves and what your plans are and things like that. And like, like Heather, with what you do, like I think people probably like they watch Instagram and like, oh, she's just having fun making some YouTube videos, and like it's just like fun all the time, right? Or, or like you're just out clicking some photos and following animals around, and it's like
I'm so hungry.
But the amount of work that it takes to go down the like less beaten path,
right?
The amount of sacrifices that you have to make of like not making great money, you know, for that time period, that 10 years or whatever that I was a custom knife maker. Like, it's interesting because like people would be like, hey, you want to go golfing, or you want to go hunting, or you want to go do whatever. And it's like, yeah, but if I'm not in my shop working, I'm not making money.
Right.
Totally.
You start dreaming about the 9 to 5. You're like, oh my God, all you have to do
So
is
that's
work
where I
9 to
was
5.
at when I took that job with the power company. I was like, so you're going to work at 8, you're coming home at 4:30. And then you're also getting 3 weeks paid vacation. You're also getting a 401k. You're
health
also,
insurance.
Yeah, health insurance.
Go to the doctor.
I don't ever give myself days off.
You can
I mean,
find
it
out
looks
what
like
that
I do,
thing
but
is.
Right. What is it?
What is that thing? I get to figure it out now, that thing on my leg.
My check engine light is so on.
Health insurance is so fucking expensive.
but it's worth it, because then it's like you're working and you're like, yeah, but I get to do this.
Yeah. And I don't know, like Laura, we've both, and Heather, all of us have been talking about this the whole time we've been here. Like, the joke is on us, right? Like, we couldn't stand the 9 to 5, so now we work 24/7.
No, but that's true. That's what.
And it's so true. And other people might see what we're up to. And I always joke, like I post on Instagram like almost every Monday, and I say, "Your fun and employed friend" on a Monday afternoon. And it's like a scene of me floating down a river, or like hiking up a mountain. But that is work. I mean, we're like, even this past week that we've been here filming and like enjoying each other's company and having adventures, like in the back of our minds, we're still like, oh shoot, I have this deliverable, this photo due.
It's actually a big stress of like, how do I monetize this? How do I?
Right.
That's where it becomes difficult too. Where for me, I keep apologizing to them, where I keep filming stuff and I'm like, I'm so sorry, I'm just gonna film this, and they're like, stop, just
we get
film
it.
Yeah.
We do the same
but
thing.
I feel I hate to be that, like, I'm an influencer. Okay, guys, like, get ready for this picture. Oh my God.
Right.
Yeah, but
and then
you're
put
not
the phone
like
down,
that.
and then you're different. You know, like I know, but it's like one of those things. Like I'm vlogging this whole experience for posterity. Okay, for one, I want to look back on this and reminisce, but
Totally.
also like it's part of what we do.
Yeah, and that's actually the part that I see actually as the hardest. Like, even the stuff that I do, I think sometimes even like with Henry, I maybe I move too fast, or I do something and I'm like, I don't want to stop, and like, okay, another take, or can you do that again, or, you know. And I'm lucky to have, I needed somebody like Henry to be able to take those photos, or to say, no, we need a photo of this or that or whatever. Because I find myself doing a lot of things like over in my shop or outside or doing whatever, and I'm like, or even on a trip, like on our hunts or whatever we're doing, and you don't take photos of it, you don't document it.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like, you are in the public eye in a certain way. You are marketing yourself, you're marketing your company. And it is a weird, I'm not used to it at all. Like, like when we were up in Kalispell on Tuesday, I ran up for a meeting with Brandon, and we stopped in just to the Black Rifle shop there to get a cup of coffee, and Andy was in there, Stumpf, and in Denver, and we bullshitted for a while, and I told Andy how terrible his coffee was, and asked him where Starbucks was and all that.
Right.
And then, like, I went to leave, and then I'm like, hey, let's get a picture. Like, I'm trying to be better about that, but I also feel so gay.
I know, like earlier when I was like, hey, like maybe we should get a picture in front of the Montana Knife Company sign. Like, wouldn't that be cool? Like,
and we're all just
later?
like, yeah.
And then we took a picture, and I was like, I don't know. I hate being that person, but I also want to be like, hey, like.
But you never regret the picture.
I know.
I think as long as you're not living through that,
exactly,
and living for that,
I feel like
different.
as long as you like check that in your mind the whole time, where it's like getting a picture, getting the footage isn't the end of the world. Make sure you don't live your life through a lens. Unless you're Brooke.
Unless you're Brooke, then the lens is great.
And then you're just a loser.
She's just like,
no, but I think that that's what shows that like you are an authentic personality. I think when people aren't self-aware of how strange these behaviors can be, if they're just like, let's take a picture.
Oh my God, I got my McDonald's cheeseburger.
Right. And they just like act like that's normal. That's somebody who's not necessarily like a very authentic or well-rounded individual. But when it's somebody who's like, oh, guys, I'm so embarrassed to ask this, but like,
I'm always embarrassed. I'm so
can
embarrassed.
we do this thing?
I have the most humility.
Well,
and
but that's
solid.
But and also what's like what I respect a lot about like Heather with your Instagram and stuff is like you follow some of these girls and they're made up to the nines. Like every time, every picture has to be perfect. There is nothing like that can be out of place. I've actually, been around some of these girls a fair amount, and it's just like awful to be around them. Like,
yeah.
I'm right here. Okay.
Yeah, it's like I used to think you were hot, and now I just think you're fucking annoying. like
no, that
can't
is a
stand
real,
to be around you.
a
But
real thing.
like with Heather's Instagram, you have your stuff you do where you're all made up and you're all gorgeous and doing all that, and then you have like your next moment where you're just like, this is me and this is what know. And that's the stuff that people want to follow because they feel like they're getting realness.
Yeah, I think it's fair to have like a balance of that too, where it's like wearing makeup is not a crime against humanity, but like when you give people a highlight reel of your life and that's it, and they're like, this is the standard, that's where I feel like it gets kind of fucked up, especially for young people, especially for young girls, where it's like, oh, I have to wear fake eyelashes when I go hunting, or like I have to do this or that, where it's like, no, you don't have to do any of that. You can be a dirt person and then turn right around, shower it off, and put on your makeup, and that's fine too.
Just like us today.
Yeah, I mean, I think
all of the makeup that we're wearing right now.
None of us have makeup on.
Laura's a perfect example of like, she can be as dirty and as whatever from living in the woods, but then when Laura like decides to like, there's been times you show up to a party, I'm like, damn. Like Laura.
I've seen her wear makeup before and it was very jarring. It was like,
yes.
Oh,
like,
I thought you guys were gonna make fun of me because I don't know
not
how to
in a
put on
bad way.
makeup.
No,
so I was
no.
like, I put a stick in my hair.
no,
That's like,
you always
all I have to do is comb the sticks out of my hair.
You always look so fucking gorgeous. But I remember the first time I saw you upload a picture with makeup, I was like,
who is that?
is this
yeah, but no, Laura, I mean, she's absolutely gorgeous. And it's funny because like I could see being at a party somewhere and seeing Laura come in just like decked out to the nines, and some guy being like, ooh, I'm gonna go get her number. We're like, you do that.
Yeah,
You do
good
that.
luck.
Well, see,
You have
her
no-
tin can
Yeah.
philosophy. You set the bar really low, and then when you like to make any effort, people are like, "Oh my god!" Versus the opposite, if you always look perfect, the second you don't have makeup on, people are like, "Who the hell is
I wore
that?"
jeans the other day and people were like, "Who the fuck are you?"
She's dressed up.
Bro,
I know, jeans are dressy.
as we were
100%.
walking in for this podcast, I've been wearing the same pair of pants every day that we've been here, and I just put on identical pants. They're the same ones,
Less
just
dirty.
a different pair, and I
Just
washed
not-
them in January as opposed to last November. And we're walking in, and Laura's like, "Damn, look at you! Those pants look so good." And I was like, "Set the bar low, and you'll always exceed
There you go.
expectations."
It is interesting though. Like, and I say this all the time. So I have 3 girls and a boy, but with my girls, Instagram and social media, it's an interesting place, and it can be the most powerful tool. I mean, frankly, we've built a company off of it.
Sure,
it can be
totally.
incredibly powerful.
Absolutely.
It's amazing. Black Rifle Coffee built a company off of YouTube and Instagram.
Yes.
Like
All of us are a testament to
Yeah.
the power of social media.
and
literally.
well, even back when and it would be the same way for photographers back when I started making knives in the 90s before the internet. The only way you could get your knives seen or photography was at a show in person or in a magazine.
Yep.
Like that's it. And now you have the ability with a post, even if you don't have a hell of a lot of followers, if it goes right, it can be seen by hundreds of thousands, millions of people. And you can do your marketing stuff 2 or 3 times a day. You can be directly in touch with your customers.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You used to put like artwork or photos or whatever at a gallery, and someone buys that photo. They could own 10 of your photos and you'd never know that person.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
it's wild.
but with my girls, I'm constantly trying to show them like there's this fine line between like we have some girls like Claire P. Thomas, friends with her. She's a first form athlete. She's gorgeous. She's in crazy good shape, but she also, what I like about her post too is she'll post very real stuff, and then she'll also talk about her struggles with even like depression, quitting the track team at University of Oregon, like and she shows that other side,
right.
and there's that real side of her. And I think it's important for girls to follow, because like you can just go see, all the fake eyelashes and the fake boobs, and you can make girls think that that's like the only thing that they have to like aspire towards. But but I also don't want girls to be ashamed of of being gorgeous and making themselves up and being proud of how they look too.
Absolutely.
That's something that like I fucking love about Heather and Laura. I feel like sometimes I trend into like, oh God, if I, as a bear guide, a lot of my clients are men. They show up, I'm like a small blonde girl and they're like, oh my God, where's your toughness? So I feel like I have to put on this like super masculine vibe and like always look like a dirt meatball in order to be taken seriously. But then I hang out with like women like Heather and Laura and I'm like, these bitches are gorgeous and like the most badass people who's ever lived. Like I don't have to give up my femininity in order to like come across as strong and badass. Like you can be both at the same time. And that's so freaking cool.
Right. Yeah. And I've been around some guys that really appear to be like crazy badass dudes and they're absolute pieces of shit.
They're wearing like proverbial fake eyelashes.
They do it for the Instagram picture.
Yeah.
Which is the double-edged sword of social media. We've all built our businesses, our identity. I don't want to say our identities, our
public
likeness,
your business.
Everything on social media. Like it's been such a helpful hand. At the same time, I feel like it creates such a dysphoria in our generation where it's just like these people look at the highlight reel of your life and they're like, oh, this is what we have to live up to. And it's like, I like when people get to see like just the real side of you. Like you can put that best foot forward and show them like you're beautiful or you're successful or you're X, Y, and Z. Show them that you're also human and show that humility. Like humility is the most attractive trait to me. Like not necessarily self-deprecating like I am, but like humility in general. Yeah. Like that is so attractive.
Well, just people that can be more than one-dimensional. Yeah. I think like no one's happy all the time. And no one's like, oh, like,
yeah, exactly.
Well, we're shooting a video right now. We're wanting to do I'm wanting to do this series, and Henry's just gotten done shooting. He's editing it right now, but it's about our veterinarian, Angela Clark. She lives here locally. If you see her at an event, out to dinner, at a nice event or whatever, like she's this gorgeous blonde gal. But if you follow her around for a day, like Henry has, you'll find her arm up the ass of a mammal most of the time. Or like,
wow, Brooke, is that you? Oh my God. Yeah. Wow.
But you'll find her doing these jobs that like the one day Henry followed her, she went and vaccinated this. And this was like, you can't make this shit up on this video. Like she's like, hey, I'm going to go do some stuff, some vaccinations, whatever. So Henry's riding along with her. They vaccinate a horse. They leave. They're half an hour down the road and the owner calls and that horse, what did it do? Jump?
So one they try to jump over a fence and they think nobody saw it. They think it clipped his back legs and flipped and like landed on his neck and broke his back.
Oh God.
Oh no.
It had been laying there for like 30 minutes by the time we actually got him back and it couldn't move.
Yeah, so this horse jumped. Tried to try for people. If I don't know if
wow.
I don't know if they'll pick that up, but yeah, that's why you don't get
real political.
Yeah,
just kidding.
You don't get vaccinated. Good job, Laura. I like that.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So for people, I don't know if they could hear Henry, but this horse tried jumping a fence or doing something and ended up breaking its back, and they had to go right back to that place and put that horse down, and then she goes to another place and this cow's trying to have a calf and they have to pull it. And Henry went to one of them where she's giving mouth to mouth to the calf, trying to save this calf, and it died.
Jesus.
The cow she did surgery on, it died, like everything going wrong. Right. And then there's these other times where it has the little baby colt, everything's perfect and it's great. But then like, it'll be, 5:00 that night and she's at a soccer game with her kids and, somebody like us is like, oh, how was your day? And she's like, oh, it's fine. It's good. And she's made up in this, beautiful blonde gal. And it's like, oh, you have no idea what her day was like.
Yeah.
So what I love about that is like for young girls and stuff is that you can still be a badass. Like you can be this badass bear guide or veterinarian or whatever. But you can also look amazing at a dinner party.
And like be a relatable human being.
Right.
It just,
we can try just as long as you're not eating moths.
Well,
I would never.
It just makes me think of when I used to waitress after I worked at the taxidermy shop. So I was like working days as a taxidermist and nights as a waitress because, money.
Yeah, money.
So I was at the taxidermy shop all day and I was like dealing with all these really rotten heads doing like, boiling skulls, cleaning skulls. And I get to work as a waitress. I just hadn't had time to go shower, but you can fix yourself up. So I go in and one of my coworkers was like, why do you you have rice in your hair.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
No.
So when you boil maggots, they turn in like really straight into like straight grains of rice, and I had maggots all in my hair. It was awkward.
I knew
What?
exactly what you were gonna say.
I didn't eat them.
What restaurant?
Yeah, what
was this?
restaurant is this?
It was actually in Colorado.
Of course it was.
That makes my stomach. I can deal with all of the gore. I can deal with fresh death. I can deal with new death. It's just the maggots that get
The
me.
maggots.
See, maggots don't bother me
So
as much
disgusting.
as mayonnaise.
It's like
I think mayonnaise is
Oh my God.
disgusting.
it's just that certain stage of putrefaction that I do not like.
I'm a
Fresh
maggot.
death is
I'm a
fine.
maggot
Old death is
person.
fine. I fucking hate maggots.
Maggots are absolutely
I
disgusting.
hate them
No,
so
they're
much.
amazing.
Even
They
just,
make
I know
my
a lot
job so much
of
easier.
people use them for fishing, and they buy maggots at the store or
Oh
whatever.
my
It's
God,
like,
no.
Bro,
Oh my God,
have you seen? Have
I'm
you?
totally sending Heather a tub of maggots
no,
for her birthday.
I had this
love
beautiful
maggots.
black doll sheep skull. This pack of wild dogs had ran this black doll sheep into a pond in Texas, and it kept swimming until it drowned. And my friend was like, "Hey, I've got this fucking dead sheep. Do you want it?" And I was like, "Fuck yeah!" So he just macheted the head off, and he's like, "Here you go." And I was like, "Cool." And I put it in the yard, and actually Matt Best transpoed it for me. And he was like, he was like, "Dude, you're so lucky that I'm your friend." And I was like, "Why?" And he like took a quick video. He like picked the head up off of this rock in his yard, and just maggots were just falling off of it. I was like, "Oh my
So,
God, I'm so sorry."
When you guys were in Alaska, Josh, I don't know if you've ever seen this. If you go up north or really anywhere where there's salmon streams running towards the end of the salmon run,
Yes.
oh man, there's some salmon that don't get eaten by bears or by whatever other scavengers, eagles, etc. And they just like kind of dissolve on the side of the streams, and the maggots move in.
Oh no.
And it looks like a rice cake on top of the
I hate
gelatinous
that.
fish.
I
And
hate-
there was a day my best friend and I went out. We were so bored and lonely, and
Of course.
we just
Naturally,
wanted like some
as one is.
companionship. So we walked up these different salmon streams, and we would put our ears next to the piles of maggots.
Yes, I'm so excited right now.
And we would hear little like
I love that
sounds.
sound. If they made like a white noise sound of maggots, I would totally go to bed with that every
that
night.
is so on brand. But yeah,
I
it's a
love
cool
it.
sound.
So
It's-
many memories in my life that are good are connected to maggots.
I would agree.
Heather, how did you end up here? How do you?
You don't. Okay. There's been a few times where like I asked myself that same question. There's been like twice this trip. When we were in Alaska, they were like, "Oh my God, wouldn't it be so great to have a tapeworm?" And I was like, "What?"
You can't even argue
I
with
was
that.
like, "What?" And then they picked up this tapeworm that had been in a bear's ass, and they were holding it up, and I was like, "This is the thing that you screamed for me to run across the beach."
I think it was me wearing it as a scarf.
Yeah, Laura was gonna
No.
bring it home as a scarf.
I was going to crochet
Crochet
a
it.
bunch of them into a scarf.
but we only found one, so she
Yeah,
couldn't.
I was just pointing.
So, I love you. So, yes, and a lot of yes ands with you guys. You know, it's just times like that. You know, sometimes Brooke will say things. I don't know exactly all of the things I'm allowed to say. On
Hey,
this.
you're still here.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say certain things. Yeah, no, but yeah, there'll be a few times where you say things and I'm like,
The Jimmy Dean sausage thing was a little...
Oh, this bitch. We're in the grocery store. We're looking for stuff to bring out into the wilderness. You know, like jelly beans or crackers or dehydrated meals. You know, normal fucking things. And we're just sauntering down the meat aisle, and she's like, "Oh, Jimmy Dean sausages. Do you guys ever just eat them raw?" And we're like,
Oh my gosh!
What? Like, it's pretty much like jerky. There's a
She's
lot
like,
of preservatives. It's fine.
She just buys Jimmy Dean sausages and she brings them along on her treks and she just eats them straight out the package.
I'm so fucking hungry.
We had it. You didn't even eat any of them. We kept them with us for at least 4 days before Laura was like, "Can we throw these out, or is this the mascot of the trip?"
I did that for you guys. I was afraid that if I did that, you would get nauseous and potentially throw up, and that would make Laura
I'm not going to
abandon
throw up.
us.
I'm not going to throw
do
up, but
hate
I will
throw up.
judge you. And that says a lot.
So what when you are out that long, what are you eating? Like how are you taking freeze dried meals?
Peak meals.
How do you feed your tapeworms, Brooke?
Those peak meals are good.
I love peak.
Peak is really good.
so
Jimmy
good.
Dean sausages. I do eat them. I mean, you can't eat them raw unless you go to the factory. They come pre-cooked. So you just like
All
don't.
of them come pre-cooked?
I don't know. I've never actually read the box, but I'm pretty sure they're.
This
pre-cooked.
bitch has trichinosis.
I've
She
been
got some.
very sick.
There are probably so
She's
many
got some
preservatives in that stuff.
weird
This is my
bacterial-
mentality: is if it's in my price range, it's so full of preservatives that it doesn't matter if it's refrigerated or not. So I'll buy it. If it fits in a bag, I'll eat it. So yeah,
Love that for you.
that's
Do
the
you
answer.
carry like a jet boil or?
Yeah, I have a jet boil. Actually, I don't even have a jet boil because them things is expensive. I just have like a little cup and a pocket rocket, And
her shit is from the 1800s.
Yeah.
Everything's made of metal. You gotta fucking sear all of the flesh off of your hands in order to even get it off of the open flame.
Speaking of hands,
it's not ideal.
I love the fact that she has a sleeping pad that she's had for so long, but every time she sleeps and her hand touches a sleeping pad, she thinks it's another hand touching hers because of the weird shape of the sleeping pad, but she still has it, and she's had it for a long time.
Yeah, I got this thing. I think it was like a birthday present when I was like a freshman in college, so it's old as shit. It's like an inflatable sleeping pad, and it's got a really innovative design where it has like a texture
Some
on
indentations.
it. So that if you, and some indentations. So if you sleep on it on a slope, you're not going to slide. But at night, if I like let my hands fall to the side, it feels like they're falling into the gentle caress of a human. It makes it really hard to sleep. I'm so fucking lonely. Laura's like, why haven't you gotten rid of that sleeping pad? And I'm like, well,
It's the only
nothing
touch
else.
I get.
So gear wise, what do you run for a tent?
I have a 2-person tent that was sent to me by an outdoor company like 4 or 5 years ago. It was actually a fun fact. It was in my car when my car got stolen, and then my car got returned, and everything that I owned was in the car when it got stolen. It didn't get returned. The cops found it. And the only thing that they left behind was that tent because it had been peed on by foxes. So it smells really bad.
We slept in that tent, didn't we?
That was that was our gear. We used it as our gear tent. We borrowed Grant's tent to sleep in because I didn't want to smell like fox piss. So that's what I sleep inside. And then I have this like old sleeping pad made out of human hands. I have a tin cup and a pocket rocket and an old can of whatever fuel I can get at like a gas station.
So you're pretty basic.
Yeah, and I carry like rope and a
Basic
knife.
bitch right over here.
Basic bitch. That's
awesome.
it.
Yeah.
Now, have you ever? What's your view on like hunting? Because you're big into animals, love animals. Have you, or do you hunt at all yourself?
No, so I've never hunted. It's not for lack of wanting to. I think I would like to hunt. I love elk meat, and I'm such a fucking mooch. Like anytime a friend has an elk, I'm like, oh my God, I need food. I'm starving. What are you doing for dinner tonight? Oh, should I just like come over? So I'd love to get an elk of my own. That's definitely on my bucket list. I want to do a caribou hunt. I want to hunt like from the Tagish River in the Yukon is a total dream item. But I just don't have time right now. I'm so like the fall hunting season is my like peak photography season. So I have to get to a point in life where I can give up a couple months of shooting to focus on something else.
Like
do you have, I mean, how much gear are you packing around? Do you have the ability to carry like a bow with you or?
I think so. Yeah. So I'm really lucky. The camera gear that I shoot on is super lightweight, super durable. I'm actually sponsored by OM System Cameras, formerly known as Olympus. And their gear is known for being like as small as possible. So like you guys saw my telephoto lens that I have with me.
Yeah.
It's a 600 millimeter lens, which is a lot of focal length.
And you can beat the crap out of it because
Oh,
you're
yeah.
you.
Yeah, you said it was waterproof.
It's essentially waterproof. I use it sometimes like if I don't want to carry an ice axe when I'm climbing in the snow, I use my camera instead. And it fits in a hoodie pocket. So it's really small, really durable. So I do think technically I could carry, a gun or a bow into the field with me. But then it comes the complication of like, okay, if I take an animal, now I have to get it back. That's still time.
You should still carry a gun with you.
Right. Yeah. That's
Not
true.
for the animals, for the people.
For the Wendigos.
No, for the people. You don't know what's in the woods.
She's been
You don't
carrying
have to-
Lena's gun this whole week.
Have you guys had any like creepy encounters with like dudes in the woods?
Not in the woods at the Salt Lake Airport.
Yeah.
Is that Heather from Salt Lake?
I don't know how much more to say about this.
Stalker situation?
Yeah, the FBI actually arrested my last stalker. He's in custody right now. He has an upcoming trial.
Wow, shout out to the stalker.
Yeah, it was great. Because he crossed state lines to try to kidnap me.
Was he hot? I mean, was he at least good looking?
That's what I asked.
This is the crazy
Because
thing.
Brooke, you might just be able to give
No,
Brooke his
Josh,
number.
this is the
even
fucking
start,
problem.
Josh.
He mentioned the names of other women.
Mm-hmm.
My name was not on the list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would be offended. For
Yeah,
sure.
no, it was.
Maybe he saw you eating raw sausage.
Your name was on the list though,
Yeah.
Josh.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing trial. How much am I allowed to say about that? If it's an
I just
trial?
think here's the thing is like you're an idiot if you're going after
that's
Heather.
like bad
Well, yeah.
choice.
Yeah.
Go after someone
Yeah,
who like
Heather has
very-
a lot of very dangerous friends.
well.
And herself.
Heather's
I'm
kind
always
of a crazy
I
person.
Heather is the
100%
dangerous
always
friend.
have a gun on me. So like, why would you go after me?
Terrible choice.
terrible.
Like
choice.
Yeah.
I mean, thankfully I was able to just walk across the street and be like, "Hey, cops,
This person,
that's the one."
this person was giving you troubles than before, and then like followed you in the airport?
No, he was surveilling me for days. He waited for me outside of a place that he was, I guess, watching me at. And
what's that feeling like when you find out? I mean, is it
bad? Obviously. Weirdly, like I don't know. What am I allowed to say about trials that are still ongoing?
You can also talk about another example, like the dude in the airport who didn't recognize you, but just fell in love.
It was just a casual nice thing.
So there was short version of the thing that's still happening. This dude showed up, waited for me, stalked me, surveilled me for days. He had a bunch of shit on him. His charges are cyber stalking and intent to harm based on all of the things he had on him when he was apprehended by the FBI. What fucked this girl's trip up for me was when I first landed, not even when I first landed, my layover was in Salt Lake City. So this guy came up to me, he was looking at my boots, and they're covered in mud.
Boots, not boobs.
Boots, BOOTS. He's looking at my boots, which are covered in mud usually, and he was like, "Oh, where'd you go hiking?" And I was like, "Well, I'm always hiking, but I'm off on a girl adventure." And he's like, "Oh, cool, whatever." Talked to me for a little bit, chit chatted, nothing crazy. He's like, "All right, later." Gets on the same plane as me. Obviously, we're both coming to Missoula. He sees me in the Missoula airport. He's like, "Oh, hey, you're the girl from Salt Lake?" I was like, "Yeah." Waiting on our baggage at baggage check, talking to me a little bit, blah blah blah, whatever. I was like, "Yeah, whatever." It wasn't that weird. It almost seemed like he was like, "Oh, missed opportunity. I should have talked to her more at Salt Lake." And it didn't seem weird. She comes and picks me up. She's like, "Bitch, I fucking," like,
I made a scene.
She was like, "I missed you." She gets out of her car. She hugs me. She's like, "Yes, let's go. Let's fucking go." So we leave the Missoula airport. We're driving around.
Go get our Jimmy Dean sausages.
We go to a grocery store. We meet up with her at a grocery store. From there, we go to a restaurant. But in order to be at that restaurant, we have to walk through an apartment complex, kind of. He drives by us as we're walking to the restaurant. And I'm like, what a weird coincidence.
Well, he like yells out the window,
He was like, "Hey,
oh,
girl."
really?
And I was like, I still trying
I was like,
people.
Heather knows someone
You were still giving him
I
the
was still like
benefit
kind
of
of
the
benefit.
doubt.
I was like,
small town.
"Hey, whatever, small town. Like maybe he's just he lives in these apartments. Maybe it's whatever. Whatever." We go and we sit down. He walks into the bar 30 minutes later and sits right across from us. And I'm like, it could be completely innocent. It could be just
ultimately it was like he had a friend meeting him there.
Well,
but
he probably called his friend and was like, "Meet me in this restaurant." Innocent, like, let's say, prevails. What he did was he saw me. He missed an opportunity. He's too shy. He's like, "Oh my God, these girls, it's meant to be. Like, I saw them walking into this bar and maybe I should call my friend and meet up." And it's innocent. But now I have this, everything is nefarious to me now.
Right.
For good reason.
Everything is nefarious.
For very good reason.
And that's why I'm always like, people like kind of poke fun of me sometimes where I'm like, I'm always over precautious. I always carry a gun on me. I'm always worst case scenario. I'm always doomsday apocalypse mindset because I've had the worst things happen to me.
Because it's like, no, you're being crazy, but then it's like, yeah, but this time I wasn't.
Yeah, but
so
if you've had bad experience.
It's happened. Well, that's not the first. I've had many experiences like that.
Exactly.
So now my mind is always worst case scenario, and like, I hate that. I hate that I've lost like the joy of just being blissfully happy, and my mind is always like, where's the exit?
Right.
And that's where I'm at now in my life, where I'm always like, where's the exit? How can I, like, what's my exit strategy? And like,
is it weird still being, making videos and still being public? And I mean, I guess it's just, there's obviously like, you're a quote unquote celebrity, but like there's people out there that are way higher celebrity status. And
sure.
I guess that comes with some of the territory
Sure.
but it's really odd. That's actually kind of the issue with having our facility like on my property, because I'm not a
Sure.
attractive female, but I might decide I am tomorrow.
Right, and that's okay because it's 2023.
Hey, females can stalk attractive males too.
But
that's very true.
Yeah, here's my address. No, but it is weird because we have people drive in, you know, and some people drive in and they don't know. They just drive in and they're like, oh shit, sorry. Yeah, I didn't know it's a Sunday and didn't know it was your house. But then like if other people drive in where we've had it where, especially over in the other shop, and that's why it seems weird, but like these doors are key carded and locked 24/7.
That's good.
Because in that other shop, I remember I was out of town and there's like somebody like walking around in the shop, hanging out, like, and the employees thought it was like a friend of mine. And then pretty soon they're like, hey, what's going on? And he's like, oh, I was just like looking around. And it's like, oh, you're a freaking stranger.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell this is a dead end road and like a house and a garage. Like,
Yeah.
This isn't a public business.
Yeah.
But that's a weird position to be in where you're celebrity and you're making videos and you're doing that. Cause like, I don't know if you really consider yourself a celebrity, but you obviously you are to a certain degree, especially with associated with Black Rifle.
Yeah. It's a pseudo, I'd say pseudo celebrity. Definitely not anybody. Like I always wonder that like as a kid when I'd see like celebrity, I'm like, why do celebrities always date other celebrities? And I'm like, oh, that's the only people that they can relate to because everybody else is like fucking weird fam. I remember years ago, like this was years ago, I met up with some dude on Tinder. It was my first and only Tinder encounter. And he seemed normal enough. He was so like put together, like just normal. And I was like, wow, in amongst the sea of mediocrity, here's this one normal guy, very cool. And we talked for like a month or something, and after that, like I never, like nothing ever intimate happened between us, but I was just like, oh, maybe I can actually like meet up with him in person. And the first thing, like after about a month, he was like, so like when can I meet Matt Best?
Oh Jesus.
And I was like, well, now you don't get to meet me. Now we don't get to hang out. But it's stuff like that where it's like people always have like weird alternative agendas.
Yeah.
And it's hard to meet. I feel like everything is a facade. Everybody is like they want something from you. Nobody just genuinely wants to interact with you and be your friends. I think it's another reason why we get along so well is just because it's like the joy of being feral. And it's like these people are so humble and
the forest don't want nothing from you.
No, and it will claim you if it wants to.
Yeah.
And I love that.
That is like with Rogan, you know, you to the highest level celebrity, it would be incredibly difficult to be, because like that's a guy that I would like to meet just strictly from the standpoint of like I think he'd be cool to be friends with.
Sure.
Complete like celebrity aside, he just seems like a good dude, and all of our friends that we know that know him all say that he's just that person.
Right.
He's just a good dude, right? It would be so strange. A lot of people like wish they were celebrity status, wish they had that money and whatnot.
Wish that on my worst enemy.
It would be awful. I mean, and it's weird because like I know it's actually quite strange because like, you know, I get recognized in the airport like with my kids or my wife. It is strange. Like even people like in Home Depot asking to take pictures with you.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, I'm a nobody. What would it actually be like to be Brad Pitt?
Well, and then it's like,
oh my God.
There's also that weird in between, right? Where like if you have the money to have a private jet or a security guard with you all the time or all these things, but it's like the in between where people just think you're rich because they know who you are, and you're like, no, like I live in a cave.
Where they think it would be like a facade, where it's like you are the person that you are,
right?
On TV, not on TV. You are the same, no matter if you're on screen or off.
Right, and it's interesting to think about people thinking they have access to you, and then having to worry like, Heather, you don't have 24/7 a bodyguard. You are your own bodyguard, and you're probably way better than most people you'd hire.
However, you're our bodyguard.
I know that's why I will give each of you a gun tomorrow.
No,
I have. I know. I'm so fucking proud of you.
Thank you.
I am so proud.
Do you have a gun now?
Shout out Lena.
She packing?
I visited her. And I was like, I'm so used to being the only bitch with like a big gun, like just ready. Like that's why I'm always the one that's paranoid. That's why I'm always the one that's on edge. I'm always the one looking for the exit. And she's like, no, I've got like 3 guns. I'm ready. And it's like she gave one to Brooke. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I was just juggling guns in the cave. It was awesome.
Let's go. She's like, yeah, I've got like 3 of them here. I was like, yes, finally. You bitches pick up hitchhikers and shit. I'm like, absolutely the fuck not.
Yeah.
I am the hitchhiker.
I am. Today you, tomorrow me.
Well, and it is tough because, like, especially with you two. I mean, with the show that you were on, and you know, with weirdos falling in love with you and whatnot, and then like with your videos, and
it's bad.
Yeah,
it's really bad.
And a bunch of lonely freaks out there.
Yeah, I think a lot of it like too.
Brooke.
I think a lot of it is that I know we make the joke. We're always like, we're not like other girls. We're so much worse. But I think the thing is that we are so weird, and we're so weird presenting that people feel like it's okay to be weird.
Yeah.
Back. Like where it's like when you're like for me, I'm an actress a lot of the time. Take 30% off and that's who I really am.
Right.
Like a lot of that is just big energy for you're entertaining. You're an entertainer.
Yeah, you're an actress.
And so a lot of people see that and they're like, "Oh, she really is this crazy wild person. I can be this."
Whereas like you're kind of like more shy when you first.
I'm so awkward. That's why.
When I met you the first time, I think it was
awkward.
I think it was the adaptive athlete shoot in Texas.
Oh,
at the ranch.
The total archery challenge. Yeah.
That's where I met you, and you were, and again, like shame on me for like assuming, but like much more reserved.
I am
very reserved, very quiet. You were like more kind of like in the background.
Always.
Where your persona on Instagram is more like you would be like the loud bitch over in right.
And I think that's why I love acting so much is because it allows me to be, I think, a part like. Be who maybe not necessarily who I wish I was, but like I can be different characters. I can be as big and as loud and as crazy as I want to be because in real life I'm not that person. Yeah. I'm very shy. I'm very reserved. I'm very like a background character.
Yeah.
I don't want to say background character. I'm just as weird, but I'm just not as loud about it, I guess.
Right.
I don't know.
So what's to kind of wrap this up? What do we have coming? What do you have going on like for the rest of the summer? I know you've been teaching. Laura's one of the best. It's interesting, like watching your classes and you teach. You're one of the best teachers I've seen, and it's amazing the whole like moth to a flame. Because like at Winter Strong, for example, there's all kinds of classes going on, and there's people teaching different things, and there's like 8 or 10 people around this guy, and 10 or 12 people around this guy, and then there's Laura over there starting fire, and there's like 35, 40 people around, and it's amazing to watch you teach and see the things that you do. So are you still doing a lot of teaching? Like this summer,
I am. I'm teaching, but I have like a few different workshops and stuff. I'm actually going to be in Vail, Colorado, for the GoPro Mountain Games. That's kind of my next like big event. But then I'm doing a natural disaster season for my show, Decivilized on Carbon TV.
Is it about you?
Yes, I am a natural Hurricane Laura. I was Hurricane Laura before there was a Hurricane Laura. But no, I mean, I think it's like one of those things where I would just see, every time a natural disaster happens, it's like I was fascinated with natural disasters since I was a kid. My Barbies would play natural disaster. It's like, what would happen? I'd be like, tornado, and they'd fly off. But anyway.
Brooke's Barbies were eating raw sausage.
100% and getting eaten by bears.
Yeah, they were getting mauled by polar bears, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's like there's these simple things where I'm like, man, I've lived this weird life and I've learned some stuff. So if I can use what I've learned to teach people how to deal with situations they might encounter, because up till now it's been all like, okay, if you want to go out in the backcountry, like here's some stuff. But people are sitting in their own homes and they're not choosing to be in these natural disasters, and it's still happening. Mm-hmm. So the rest of this year I'm going to be filming episodes on natural disasters. So
I'm jealous
excited.
about that.
I'm really excited.
I'm jealous about that. I want to chase a hurricane, or not a hurricane,
tornado.
but a tornado.
I know. I'm really excited. Tornado Tim is like my new favorite person, and I'm.
So do you just hang out around trailer parks and wait for him to come?
Exactly what that
yeah,
sounds
they
like.
get drawn to trailer parks.
Yeah.
No, Tim's gonna lead me. It's really amazing how in tune you have to be with just weather and predicting stuff. But he's done it for like over 20 years, so I have faith in him.
That is wild. And what I would love to see, well, it's like our thunderstorms and stuff tonight, but like the most amazing thing when you see the pictures and whatnot is like the sky.
Yeah.
And you see those clouds doing whatever they're doing. And
it's terrifying.
It's like,
so cool.
It reminds me of like being on the beach and building a sandcastle. No matter what you do, you can't stop the tide from coming and taking it away. It's like a big storm like that.
Hell yeah.
Anyway.
So, Heather, what about you? Black Rifle, still making videos?
Yeah, I'm still making videos.
I see you have merch.
I launched my own merch. This isn't even a plug. It's a plug.
This wasn't even planned.
I'm plugging it. He didn't even plan this shit. Do you see this? See this gnarly Wendigo?
Beautiful.
Yeah. You get this at Bunker.
That is awesome. Who's doing the drawings?
Oh, Threat Llama. So I commissioned this drawing.
Best name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I commissioned this drawing through Threat Llama. He's a buddy of mine. He's just as fucked up as we are. But I sell this through Bunker Branding. And then I'm also going to be launching a mezcal, I think, this year.
Oh, yeah?
Which I'm super excited about. Fuck yeah. I'm still waiting on getting the trademark and everything done for that. So not going to say the name of it just yet, but I'm going to have my merch. I'm going to have my mezcal. And then we are going to go visit Ms. Brooke, Little Bear, in Alaska, July.
You didn't learn your lesson. You're headed back.
We can't.
I can't quit suffering. It's like my favorite.
I love that about her.
So the merch is super cool. I saw that only just like,
I thought about
like
wearing
a few
this.
days ago.
Yeah, I thought about wearing this, and I was like, I gotta rock the MKC.
No, you should have worn your.
Whatever.
You're awesome. Well,
but yeah,
the merch is super cool though.
My little Wendigo hoodie. I've got the Wendussy coming soon.
Very excited about that.
Yeah.
It's gonna be sick. The
Shout
design's
out,
really
Paige.
cool.
It's gonna be so good.
Awesome. So, and then with Black Rifle, are you still? Are you still making videos, doing stuff with the marketing department?
Yeah, I'm still working with Black Rifle. I think for a little while longer. You know, as long as Matt Best is there, you know, I'll be there chugging along. And
He's
Matt who?
Best.
Matt Best, Matthew Best, Matthew Best. I'm not gonna dox his middle name.
When do we get to hang out with Matt Best?
I don't know. Where's Matt Best? Where's Matt Best? I'm sorry, you're not good enough. Where's Matt?
I don't give a shit about Matt Best. Where's Noel? When do we get to meet Noel?
I know. No, I'm still with Black Rifle for now. Again, I'm working on doing my own thing too.
Yeah.
It's cool watching all your friends become millionaires. You want to do it yourself too.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's the part like we were talking about earlier when you're doing your own thing with like what we're all doing. And I was actually there was a guy I was talking to at my kid's track meet the other day, and he's struggling with his kid because his kid's like freshman and doesn't give a shit about math or doesn't give a shit, right? Because he had the same attitude I had then, which was like, this is retarded. Why are we doing this? And I wish I could, those are the kids I wish I could talk to. Cause like I have the opposite end of the spectrum than I was with my daughter, like with Sadie that you met in here, my 17-year-old. She's in like all the honors classes and all the college classes. She's like the all-star, right? And doing it all right. And then there's like the other 80% of kids that were probably more like me, which was just like, when do I get out of here and go like dig holes or hunt or whatever? And I was telling him, I'm like, I think he was saying his kid wanted to be a lineman or something someday. And I was like, well, tell your kid when he gets that apprenticeship, the first thing he has to do to get an apprenticeship is take an algebra test. And I literally was 29 or 30 years old, 29. And I had to go buy the book, Math for Dummies, and like read the Math for Dummies book and like learn how to do math again. It had been 20 or 15, 19 years, or I don't know, 10 years, however long it had been. I don't do math well. And, but the other part of this is I sucked at it when I did it because I didn't give a shit. And the point of all this is like with what we're doing, there is a lot of actual like business stuff behind it. Like I have been drinking from a fire hose from my standpoint as far as like a CEO. It's still weird like to call myself like a CEO of a company. I'm like, CEOs are douchebags. I'm not a CEO.
I don't want to tell you, but
yeah, but like when you're like, what's a KPI and what's this and what's that, and I'm like literally asking all these. I feel like I'm hanging around more of my military friends, but they're business people and they're using all the acronyms.
Yeah. Oh God.
like looking at
the military acronyms drive me nuts.
Oh,
I know some of
this
them.
Morning
I can kind of keep up, and then I'm like,
there were a couple spec ops guys in my house this morning, and they start talking in fucking acronyms, and so. I started talking about the BGD, and then they were like, what's a BGD? I was like, well, it's our blade grinding division, which is complete horseshit. But I'm like, I can play this game too. I'm going to start making acronyms up.
Right.
But on the business side, they're using all that stuff, and I don't think people realize like Brooke with your photography, but you're also your own accountant. You're also your own marketing person, you know, all the stuff that you have to do. And kids need to realize they need to at least pay attention to a basic level.
Right.
Definitely. And I actually wish our schools would do a better job of, hey, instead of pushing that kid to take trig or freaking calculus. Who gives a shit? Why don't you teach them like a personal finance class?
Yeah, instead of like, oh, we can tell how tall the light pole is by the shadow.
Or a basic marketing class like, hey,
Yeah.
you want to be a photographer, you want to market yourself.
Yeah.
How are we going to do this?
Yeah.
Or you want to make YouTube videos.
Right.
You know, I think it's super important that kids somehow get some education on how to actually just do basic level business stuff to get going.
Yeah.
Agreed.
How to like become an actual successful human, not just a knowledgeable human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I went off on a tangent there, but
I support it.
So you're headed back to Alaska soon?
Yeah. So after this, I'm going to go home, do laundry, pack up my suitcase again and head up to Alaska. I'll be with the brown bears until mid-September. Then I go to Hudson Bay and I also guide with polar bears. So I'll do that until whenever the polar bears go up onto the ice to hunt seals for the winter.
What is a polar bear's attitude like? So you talked about brown bears and you talked about like our grizzly bears, inland bears like ours. What's the personality of a polar bear?
They like Coca-Cola.
They love
Wow.
Coca-Cola.
They wear the earmuffs.
They're white.
So racist.
Wow.
They don't use a lot of seasoning. Not that any bear does. But yeah, polar bears, people love to be like, polar bears are so scary and aggressive. And that's true. They definitely are like the most temperamental bears when you consider the fact that they're low density. So they're not used to being around other bears and their food source is really low density. So of course they're going to be a little bit more reactive and quote unquote hangry. But it's harder to surprise a polar bear, at least in the context of what I'm doing, guiding to actually see polar bears. It's flat. You can see them from a far distance. So, yeah, I mean, they're not nice, but they're not necessarily like as easy to encounter and come across and find yourself in a piss poor situation as other bear species.
What's the distance you try to keep from a polar bear?
I mean, most interactions are 50 to 100 yards.
That's pretty freaking close.
We're comfortable with 50.
That's
50 yards
that's very close.
I've photographed polar bears at closer than that with a guide who was extremely, like my mentor in all things bear, very experienced individual. There were actually 3 or 4 people who had been working with polar bears for like their whole lives present, as well as like a bunch of other bear guides. So that's a unique experience, right? Where like everyone is pretty qualified and we didn't really have an option to like not be that close to the bear because how quickly she came in. It was a situation where like if we had backed off, we could have like invited her to pay more interest in us than if we just sat still and let her walk by. But yeah, we don't love polar bears as close, but they're not marauding and necessarily like gonna come flying across the tundra to eat your face.
Is it a hell of a lot harder? I mean, like with the brown bears, they're down fishing, they're on that shoreline. Like, I don't think that's probably that difficult to find them necessarily. And maybe I'm assuming, but like with a polar bear, I'm just imagining nothing but ice.
No.
And
So
snow.
that is the reality for polar bears most of the year. Where I photograph them, it's at the southern tip of Hudson Bay. So when the ice melts at the start of the summer, all those polar bears have to come onto shore.
Oh.
And what people don't realize is polar bears don't hibernate. Unless it's a pregnant mom with cubs, she'll hibernate for a little bit long enough to give birth to the cubs and then nurse them and emerge from the den. But they go the whole summer without really eating anything. They just lounge on the shores of Hudson Bay or, ice floe edge, wherever they're at, waiting for the ice to reform so they can walk out and hunt seals.
Really?
So the best time to see and photograph polar bears is in the fall when they know intuitively, instinctually, that the ice is getting ready to form. They all congregate in really high densities in all these little villages and areas along the shores of Hudson Bay. And I mean, like, you'd be hard pressed not to run into a polar bear in those areas that time of year.
Really?
Yeah. It's significantly easier than finding any other bear anywhere else. The town where I am based out of for that, when the kids go trick-or-treating on Halloween, they actually have like armed bear guards following them through town to keep the polar bears away.
Really? So, and polar bears' diet is pretty much just all seals?
Yeah. So it should be all seals. We're starting to see in some of these areas polar bears getting like a little bit more creative in looking for food sources later in the season while they're waiting for the ice to form. We're starting to see polar bears eat blueberries. We're starting to see them apparently hunt beluga whales, which is really interesting. But their main diet and what they should be eating and focusing all their energy on finding is seals. But they'll supplement with whatever they find. They'll eat like your snowmobile if you leave it out.
Are you seeing less ice up there? Like all the global warming stuff. And it's like, I call it global warming bullshit, because sometimes I wonder, I don't doubt for a second that there's warming happening and that there's less ice. You can start to debate why or whatever. I don't really give a shit.
Right.
But like, are you seeing less ice with where you're going? Have you noticed a change?
Yeah, I mean, that's a tricky question. I always say that like people view bears through like whatever lens they see themselves. So like if you're starving, the bears are starving. If you're angry, bears are angry. If you're a hippie, bears are peaceful. So that's a whole separate conversation of like what's happening with the ice and how are the bears feeling about it. But we are seeing in the area where I guide, it seems like the ice is forming. The trend the last like 10 years has been like a week later every coming year, which is why we're seeing bears start to get more creative and like looking for food sources. And we're like literally watching them adapt before our eyes, which is really cool. Yeah. I'm like dreaming of someday getting the photo of a polar bear with like seal blood all over his face. And I haven't managed that yet. But in the meantime, I have photos of polar bears with blueberry juice all over their face.
Really?
It's really cool.
That's pretty cool. It would be wild to catch one actually like killing a seal.
That's when it's hard, because that's when they're dispersed across the ice and it's much harder to find and locate them. But yeah, when they're on shore, they're thick.
So, and then what else? Once you do the polar bear, you do the bear stuff, then you'll head to Colorado for elk.
Yeah, so I'll come back to the lower 48. I'll probably take a shower, dive right into elk rut stuff. I am going to be guiding a couple of expeditions for aspiring photographers. I'm leading one in Montana and one in Wyoming. I just started my own company. It's called Think Wild Expeditions. I'm still not sure how to plug it.
Okay.
But yeah, type that in.
So that's how people can get a hold of you to get guided. And
yeah, if you want to like see what of my photo adventures you can join on, check out Think Wild Expeditions. I'm pretty sure that's the name.
Wow.
Very new. I promise we're insured and licensed to operate within the areas where we'll be guiding.
Well, that's pretty cool. Is there an animal on the planet? Like, do you do North America because like financially that's the thing that's easiest to do?
No.
Or do you have interest of like going?
No, so I've been sent on assignment to countries in Africa. I've been to Botswana, I've been to South Africa, photographed wildlife there. Lovely, amazing, super charismatic, great animals, but I am a neo-Arctic bitch. Like I love the Rocky Mountains, I love the habitat. I love cold weather. I love the places that North American wildlife specifically takes you. So when people ask me like, is there an animal you want to see or photograph? It's usually all things local. Like I want to get better photos of mountain lions. I want to get better opportunities to photograph caribou. If I had to branch out outside of North America, snow leopards would be pretty sweet. But
that would be, yeah, that's how I feel about hunting. As much as like the rest of the world sounds cool, and I would imagine I'll maybe go someday. Like North America to me is where it's at. I don't know why.
There's so much biodiversity and like intensely beautiful habitat. I think the lower density wildlife populations that we have here versus the African continent makes it like that much more thrilling when you find the thing. You can't just like hop in your car and drive around and see a leopard kill a lion while a cheetah watches.
Right. Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks for joining. We better go have dinner.
Hell yeah.
I think we're a little late for dinner, but
yeah, we gotta go shower.
An RGD, a really good dinner. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Wow, we're doing everything in acronyms now?
Acronyms now. All right. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
TYVM.
Thank you.
Hell yeah, brother.